Victoria MP Laurel Collins has introduced a bill to criminalize what's known as coercive behavior in intimate partner relationships. That's what's defined as behavior that's used to isolate, manipulate a partner through fear, intimidation, and threats. For a closer look at the issue, we're joined this morning by Pamela Cross. Pamela is a feminist lawyer and the advocacy director at Luke's Place, which provides legal support and services to women leaving or looking to leave abusive relationships. She's joining us from Kingston this morning. Welcome to your morning.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.
For people who may not be familiar with the term, what does coercive behavior in a relationship look like? How's it demonstrated?
Coercive control is such an insidious kind of abuse in an intimate relationship because it's often invisible to anybody except the two people who are in the relationship. It may not involve any physical violence at all. It's a pattern of behavior. It builds over time, so it's not a single incident the way some other forms of intimate partner violence can be. It's a pattern of behavior that includes, as you've already mentioned, things like isolation of the victim from her family and friends, intimidation of her, control over everything she does, where she goes, who she sees, what she wears, what kind of makeup she's allowed to put on. It can include verbal put-downs, all kinds of behavior that leave the woman feeling like she's a hostage of the abuser, as though she has no autonomy, no self anymore.
How would criminalization of this behavior help victims?
There are certainly some positive aspects to the idea of criminalizing coercive control. This is a really under-recognized form of abuse because it's so invisible. And because we live in a society that says if something's bad, it's against the law, the fact that this is not against the law means that many women feel quite shut out, disbelieved, as though what's happening to them isn't serious. So criminalization would provide potentially some validation for those survivors.
Pamela, I think about the women that I've interviewed who have gone forward to try and report, domestic abuse, and there's, if there's no physical evidence, it's often very difficult to get action. So in coercive behavior, as you said, there is no physical or visible signs of abuse or of a crime. How difficult would it be then to have a charge laid in a case like this?
I think it would be difficult, just as there are a number of reasons to think criminalizing coercive control could be helpful. There are a number of concerns about criminalizing it, and you've identified one of them right there, Anne-Marie. It's hard enough to lay a charge when there is physical evidence. To lay a charge that requires the police to look at a whole pattern of behaviors that may have taken place over years of time, and to unpack those and understand how it's a building crime. It's not the first or the second time. We talk about a pattern of behavior, but what constitutes a pattern? Does something happen twice and that makes it a pattern? Does it have to happen 12 times? Does it depend on the individual? I think this is going to be, if it's criminalized, an extremely challenging crime to investigate.
What would some of the challenges be?
The criminal law has not really worked particularly well on the issue of gender-based violence, whether we look at intimate partner violence or sexual violence in the past. We could look, for instance, at policies that have been in place in Canada since the mid-1980s called mandatory charging, which were intended to protect victims of intimate partner violence and have ended up being used against them. If we look at reporting rates of intimate partner violence, they're very low. Only about 30% of women report violence by their partner to the police. So is creating a new offense even going to result in women calling the police? Will police even have the opportunity to lay charges, complicated as that may be? We've also seen how abusers can manipulate laws to their advantage. And this is a really serious concern for those of us who work with survivors. Because of the nuanced nature of coercive control, will an abuser be able to manipulate what's happened in the relationship, either to just make it look like he didn't do anything wrong, or worse, to have the woman charged and then have that charge follow her into her family court proceedings? There's a lot of potential challenges with criminalization. I think that we have to think very hard and very carefully before we rush into creating a new law.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with the discussions around this bill, but a great topic to be bringing to light. Pamela, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.